Howdy, fellow movie fans, and welcome to this special brought to you by the Wisco Movie Watchers Club and those Davies boys, Evan and Davies. We're back for true round 2 of our greatest movie franchise tournament, which is, we've already had some upsets. We've had some interesting mathematical equations come through. So if you were not with us for the opening round, if you're just tuning in on Twitch, you're just seeing this one that caught your eye. We did a play-in round, and it was just my opinion of a franchise, Dylan's opinion of a franchise, and what was the third score we put in, or did we even put a third score in on that one?
I don't think we did.
I don't think we did on the play-in rounds. You had to have enough merit, and we were fair. There was none that were super biased in the play-in round.
Mhm.
Then when we got into the first true round of the tournament, we added Rotten Tomatoes as a score, and that was the aggregate score of both the audience and the critics score, plus Dylan and I's personal scoring. Now in round 2, we're getting more serious, and we're adding the average letterboxed score as well. So the math checks out that we have, 5 different inputs with yours,
Yes.
mine, the 2 Rotten Tomatoes, and the letterbox score. It's going to be interesting. Now, let me guess, you haven't looked at the bracket again.
No. I just show up. That's all that's my job here. I do the math.
Hey, you did all the math. You did a lot of the legwork of this tournament. Don't sell yourself short on that part. So, without further ado, you should have seen in the recorded episode style. Thanks, Ash. Our lovely moderator, Ash, also in the comments already, just saying, I also just show up. LMAO. So, which respect. And we respect you for doing that for us all the time, Ash, because we need a lovely moderator when the bots try to tell us that we can get cheap viewers on streamboo.boo-doo-loo-loo-loo. We need you there. So you already should have seen an updated bracket if this is the recorded version on YouTube. However, for our live audience, we have Jurassic Park taking on Indiana Jones. We have another Civil War, a Spielberg home split in 2. We have the MCU's Phase 2 taking on the play-in darling of How to Train Your Dragon, which I think that's going to be a closer contest than people might believe.
Mhm.
We have Toy Story taking on Star Wars, which I'm pretty confident the internet's going to be pissed at the results of that, but you never know. You never know. The Godfather will be taking on the Dark Knight trilogy, so that is quite an interesting one. Then we have Lord of the Rings taking on Mission Impossible, Harry Potter taking on The Evil Dead, James Bond taking on Phase 3 of the MCU, and John Wick taking on Pirates of the Caribbean. And Dylan, I can tell you right now, you're so excited for more John Wick conversation. It's not even
I've shared my entire view on John Wick at this point.
Dylan loves John Wick for context. It's his favorite thing in the world. He absolutely adores John Wick. All right, let's go into battle number 1, game number 1, Jurassic Park versus Indiana Jones. Who do you want to start with? What do you want to do on this one?
Let's see. First, I gotta find it. Let's go Jurassic Park first. That's what I found first. So, we only do the first 3. We're not doing Jurassic Worlds.
Correct.
Actually, would that even affect your opinion if we added Jurassic World?
It would only bring it down more. Actually, that's a lie. I think it would stay very even keel. I think you're right. I don't know if it would because I enjoy the first Jurassic World movie. I think it's a fun little romp.
Yeah.
And then, but I still think it's pretty dead center, above average movie.
Mhm.
Then the next ones are not good. I think they have moments that are cool, but they're not great. And then the new Jurassic World Rebirth is like we're pulling at straws here, man.
Yeah, I still have not seen Rebirth. No interest,
I'm gonna be
but
honest. I don't know if you ever will. I think it's oddly enough, if we weren't recording, today would be the kind of perfect day to just be like, I'm stuck in my home. I have nothing to do. I'll go watch this movie that I wasn't keen on just to get the opinion and the completionist of I've seen the Jurassic World movies.
yeah, I'll probably end up watching The Secret Agent, which was a Best Picture nominee.
Yeah.
That's on Hulu right now. It's
Oh,
almost
nice.
3 hours though, so
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. And we
get
should
it.
probably do some Oscar live. We should probably do some Oscar reactions after this as well. But
Hmm.
we'll stick with the tournament here. So
Yeah, I would
Jurassic,
say adding world to it only brings it down for me.
I would assume. So that's why we're sticking with Jurassic Park by itself. You
Hmm.
had to have at least 3 movies to be in the tournament, because like just 2 movies. That's not a franchise.
Yeah.
That's just a sequel. So I don't even recall what I gave Jurassic Park last time, because the other thing is we also said the numbers change as we go forward.
Oh yeah, mine are going to be inconsistent. I'm telling you right now.
So if I recall correctly, I think I gave Jurassic a 7, which I still think I would stand by as a fair score, because again, you have what I would consider a 9.5 with 2 5s, 2 4 5s, like somewhere in
Yeah,
there. I view both those movies negatively. I don't think they're the worst things I've ever watched, but I don't think they're good either. I think Jurassic
yeah,
World
they're
3
not
is actually
great.
pretty stinker.
Jurassic 2 has parts that are good. I do enjoy some of it, but not for the most part. No, it's not a good movie. Um, yeah, for scores in terms of critics, it's 65 and 60 for audience. And then Letterboxd isn't a bad score. It's 3.37 out of 5
For the whole franchise.
for yes, those three.
Okay.
If you include the Jurassic World, it gets dumped down to 2.97.
Ooh, okay. So you want to keep it those. So with Letterbox, we got to multiply that by 2 to get out a score out of 10. So
Yep.
which is an interesting one nonetheless. So I'm having Jurassic Park at a 7. What are you putting Jurassic Park at now?
Uh 6.5, I think.
I think that's very fair.
I it's tough because the first one is like
It's a
legitimately,
masterpiece. It's a
yeah, it
masterpiece.
is a masterpiece. But then yeah, the last two, it's like, can I even give them? I guess I'd give two probably 6, and then yeah, three's probably like a four,
Yeah,
4.5.
I was gonna say I view both those as 4 5s or 5s. I don't
It kind
think,
of equals out, yeah, in my mind.
and
Um,
it's a rough watch. Some of those, especially when you go in. I think that's the worst part is looking back at a loss that I thought it was a shoe in. It was going to take round 1. Just went up against the wrong competitor. If you want to see some competitive shit, watch the second half of round 1,
mm,
because Soem, almost every single franchise in the second half of round 1 could have taken out almost everything in the first half of round 1. It's just you
that's
can
true.
tell how he
Yeah,
randomly selected the seating. Back to the Future, I thought was a shoe in to win. I was,
it would have won almost every other one.
and it just went up against Harry Potter, and also the scores were not what I thought they'd be for 2 and 3. I thought they'd be a little bit higher.
Yeah, that's true.
But I look at Back to the Future as, when you watch Back to the Future 2 and 3, there is a drop, but it's not a drop in which you feel disappointed by watching those movies. You go from what is perfect to, this is a really fun movie. It's a really
Mhm.
enjoyable experience. You don't go from, oh my god, it's a masterpiece, and you have people like myself who cry every time they watch Jurassic Park because the goosebumps come up, and the scene with the valley and the John Williams score comes in, and then you watch 2 and 3 and you're like, the fuck
It should
is
also
this?
we should also point out that neither of us were like dinosaur kids.
I'm glad you brought up this concept. That is a real thing. There are
It
dinosaur
is.
kids and there are non-dinosaur kids, and neither Dylan
Yeah,
and I were dinosaur kids. It's not that we
I
don't
like
think dinosaurs are cool.
I like animals, but I wasn't into dinosaurs really.
And see, that's the thing. Our friend Marty, growing up, he was a dinosaur kid.
Hmm.
And Marty was one of your closest friends growing up.
Yeah.
So Marty was a dinosaur kid. He loved anything that had a dinosaur in it. He loved anything dinosaur related. Where we were kind of like, yeah, it's cool. Like the most love I have for dinosaurs comes from Power Rangers. That's it. You know?
I don't think I even watched Jurassic Park until I was in my teens.
Same deal, because I wasn't attracted to it because I wasn't a dinosaur kid. I just went, oh,
Yeah.
it's that dinosaur movie. Cool. I was more
So
attracted
out
to
of
Land Before Time with dinosaurs at one time in my life than I was Jurassic Park.
Yeah, to illustrate that point, out of 50 Jurassic Park, it's a 32.8. And to illustrate that point, Back to the Future had more out of 40
Yeah,
than Jurassic Park does out of 50.
that's a wild, wild concept. So the
So
final score for Jurassic Park with our scores is 32.5.
32.8.
32.8, my apologies. I mean, it's a good score. It's a respectable score. It's above the halfway point. It's
Mhm.
it's a passing grade by school standards. But
Is it? Is that 60%?
yeah, 60% is a 30 out of 50.
Okay.
So you're looking at
Oh yeah. Yeah.
so you're looking at right around a 65.6%. So you passed, not well. Still better than
Mhm.
I passed two of my classes in high school. But nonetheless.
Yeah.
Hey,
Well, okay, now we jump to indie.
God,
And
those last two bring down Indy a lot.
uh you can say that, yeah, it's significant the amount of damage those two do to the
So
other
I'm going to say
three.
this right now. I'm going to still throw this out there. The first three are of a holy trinity. Not even a holy trinity. I think there's like five great movie trilogies. I would put Indy there. I'd put the original Star Wars there. I'd put Lord of the Rings there. I'd put The Dark Knight there, and I'd put Back to the Future there. Those would be the five like trilogies. And I'm like, no, those are really absolutely great. Because even like The Godfather, as much I like, we're gonna talk Godfather. I wasn't in love with it as much, but Godfather 3 really is a downfall, and which is why I'm like,
Mhm.
no, it's a great two movies, and then they added another one. I wouldn't consider that a great trilogy.
Yeah.
Which is why my score for Indy is still extremely high at a 9, because I think Raiders is a 10. Raiders is perfect.
Hmm.
Temple of Doom is still an 8.5, and Last Crusade I would put it a 9.5. Like, those are incredible films. Crystal Skull I'd put it a 6.5.
I always say, like, until they get to the jungle, I think it's actually a good movie. And then once
I
they get to the jungle, it's like, okay,
I've
this is
argued
really
this
going
forever.
off.
You slap any other name on that movie and don't call it Indiana Jones, that's a good movie. And that's the thing, is like, I think that is
Yeah.
legitimately a good movie. It's a fun action watch. It's just not a great Indiana Jones movie. But if that was
Hmm.
just an adventure movie with some sci-fi components, people would love that. People would love that movie.
Yeah.
So that's
Um,
why I still go. It's like it almost gets penalized because it's an Indiana Jones movie versus just a movie. So I'd go six
yeah.
five, and then and then Dial of Destiny, I would say pretty much same deal, because my expectations have gone down, but it's a fine, straightforward action movie. I'd
It's
say
hard
6 on
to,
that.
honestly, for me, Dial of Destiny is like, it's hard to even think of it as in the same franchise. Because it feels so different to the other ones.
Well, it's the first time that is abundantly clear so much is digital. Where
Yeah, yeah,
Crystal
yeah.
Skull obviously has digital elements in it, but they tried so hard to keep as much stuff tangible and real, and make sure that things were built.
Also, one of the things going against Crystal Skull is a lot of the stuff was practical, but it looks fake because they add so much on top of it.
Yeah,
Like there's really great VFX breakdowns of Crystal Skull, where it's like they took all these cool practical things, both color graded it completely wild, and then also threw a bunch of digital stuff on top that was completely unnecessary.
yeah,
Like, that movie could really do with like a good remaster of
yeah,
just like cleaning it up. Um, but just to point out, before I even give my score, it's already at a 32.38. Well, unless I gave it less than a point 0.5, Indiana Jones would win.
Yeah, because
But
what we should say what the letterbox score was for Jurassic
Letterbox
was what, and what is it for Indy?
Letterbox for Jurassic was a 3.37 out of 5, and for Indy, it's a 3.54.
Yep.
And to to go off that point of 4 and 5 really dropping it, it goes 4.2, 4.1, 3.7, 2.8, 2.9.
Who's given Last Crusade a 3.7?
That also surprised me, especially considering Temple of Doom is a 4.1, which I pointed
Yeah.
out. I pointed out that out of the entire tournament, there are only 29 films that are a 4.0 or higher in Letterboxd.
I
And
would
Temple of
not have
Doom is
picked
one.
Temple of Doom as one of them.
Me either. I always think of Last Crusade as the one most people like more than
Well,
Temple of
Last
Doom.
Crusade's the only one I hear on a regular basis people think could be their favorite over Raiders.
Yeah.
Like there are people that do like Temple of Doom more than anyone, but they usually say like, I know it's not the same as the other ones. I just kind of love the whatever. Or I
I
like
mean,
this. I like that.
in terms of likability, it goes in order for me.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, critic score was 80.6, audience 82.4. So then once I throw mine, which is probably 7,
Indy's just a 7. Interesting.
I don't know. It's hard because like those last two really are rough.
I just think
7.5.
let's say 7.5. I think is a fair one. I
Yeah.
mean, correct me.
So
I said a 9. So what is our
yeah,
final score on this one?
out of 50, it's a 39.88.
Yep. That's you couldn't have even
Worst.
you could have not scored it, and it still could have won.
Yeah, both Letterbox and on Tomatoes, Kingdom of the Crystal Skull is the worst reviewed one,
That's interesting.
and Raiders is the best.
Well,
Well, Indiana Jones Dial of Destiny has a 71.87 on Rotten Tomatoes,
like I
which
said,
is just like crazy.
I think it's a straightforward good movie. I don't think there's anything wrong with Dial of Destiny. It just doesn't have the same.
I do. I think there's quite a bit wrong with it.
I think that like when I look at Dial of Destiny, I walked out of the theater and went, okay, it's old man indie. I didn't like the color grading. I didn't like the digital aspects of it. But I thought they tried to do some new stuff with the adventures. They tried to find some new things for Indy to do, some new areas to go. And Phoebe Waller-Bridge's character is not great.
I She's completely unlikable in that movie to me.
I would say she's mostly
And
unlikable.
it's not to do with her as an actor.
No,
I actually like her quite a bit.
I think she's a great
Just
choice for what they're trying to do. I just don't think they nailed the part.
yeah, her character is just likable in my mind. So, but
Uh,
that's another thing to talk about.
yes, but I mean, I just think Indy is. I still would say I would view that movie favorably, but it's above average style. Like it's above average. Okay, cool.
I
You know,
also think it's going to age worse than
I
any of the others. So,
I would agree with that because of how digitally it
yeah,
it is infused.
especially that first 20 minutes.
Yeah, you
As
could
more
just
time goes by, it's same thing happened with Rogue One with Tarkin, where like at the time it looked pretty good,
yeah.
and now like 10 years out,
You're like, ugh.
it, yeah, it's pretty rough.
Well, it
So
sucks because even in their own franchise in Rogue One with Star Wars, say what you will, not everyone's a fan of the Mandalorian, but the Mandalorian or Book of Boba Fett. In Book of Boba Fett, Luke Skywalker looks spot on. Luke Skywalker.
and even that's gonna be a couple of years out. It's gonna be rough. I'm almost
I
guaranteeing
don't know
it.
if it's going to be rough, but it looks a hell of a
I
lot better than
I agree. It does look a lot
because
better.
like he didn't look great in Mandalorian season 2, but in Book of Boba Fett, you're like, that's fucking Mark Hamill. Like
Oh,
holy shit.
maybe that's the one I've seen is from the Mandalorian.
where he comes through in the robes and the lightsaber, like into the ship.
Yeah,
That's
yeah, yeah.
Mandalorian season 2. The only
Okay.
like I would honestly for you just to see the technology because I know you're not going to watch the whole series.
Oh
Just
no.
watch a one like a short reaction video to Luke Skywalker and Book of Boba Fett, and you will be like, holy fuck, that looks good.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's just one of the things that like we get used to technology over time.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm thinking Pilot Destiny won't age well, but I mean, I'm glad they made it because I was interested in seeing it. So,
I mean, I love the idea of any character older and how did they respond and how they do things. Like,
and I would rather see an old Indiana Jones with Harrison Ford than a reboot with someone else.
right.
So,
I think that's a topic for another day. We should talk about franchises that we would be okay with a reboot for and franchises that we would want nothing
I
to
can
be
tell you right
touched.
now, most of mine are going to be don't touch it.
No, I know you're sorry, but
So,
you and I usually agree in the ones we don't want to have touched whatsoever. There are
yeah.
certain properties that we're like, that has to keep going. And there's certain properties where it's like, no, don't, just don't, just don't. But let's go to battle number 2 or game number 2. We have Marvel's Cinematic Universe Phase 2 versus How to Train Your Dragon.
Okay. Phase 2, Iron Man 3, Thor 2, Captain America 2, Guardians of the Galaxy, Avengers 2, and Ant-Man.
Yeah,
We said it
that's a bit of a sandwich right there.
before. Everything Marvel is like incredibly consistent because all these movies except Thor 2 hover right around 80, mid 80s for most scores.
Sure.
80.83 for critic, 83.83 for audience, and then the letterboxed average is 3.23. And I'll tell you, it gets bumped way down because Thor 2 is a 2.3 out
It's
of 5.
bad. Thor 2 is legitimately in the
It is.
conversation for the worst they've ever done. So,
It's true, yeah.
with Phase 2, I would argue Iron Man 3 is a good action movie. It's a bad Iron Man movie. I view it in the same category as a Kingdom of the Crystal Skull, where if you just look at it, you take Iron Man off of it. Just look at the
I
movie as a whole and just say, okay, Iron Man's not the title. I would say I think that's a fine, straightforward action movie that has some
I
unique little
remember
twists.
I remember thinking it was way too long.
I would agree with that.
And I'm just gonna look up what the actual runtime is. Oh, it's only two hours 10 minutes.
The pacing's
So
off though. It does feel long. You're right.
because yeah, I think I've only seen it once, honestly.
Well, it's one of those movies that it doesn't have a rewatchability to it, which is odd because Marvel's kind of designed for rewatchability. Like come in, quick, watch it, cool, enjoy it, move
Yeah,
forward. When you're ready, go watch it again. Which is so odd because two of their most rewatchable movies are in the exact same phase. Because the arguable, like two of the most arguable, no, these are true great films, not just great comic book movies, are sandwiched together in Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy.
the Guardians of the Galaxy, the first one's my favorite Marvel movie of all time.
I
So
mean, you love Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Guardians of the Galaxy. Guardians of the Galaxy was the first movie in which I knew anything was possible comic book wise and people could accept it.
it's funny because Phase 2 is actually where it seems Marvel's taking chances, but in a safe way. Because they
They're,
do give
they're trying
Iron Man
something new.
3, they give it to Shane Black, who, you know, he's a pretty bold choice. They just don't let him do exactly the Shane Black thing.
Yeah.
And then they give the Russos Captain America 2,
And they're only
which,
coming off of Community.
yeah, exactly. That's an outside the box choice. And then James Gunn with Guardians, and then originally Edgar Wright was Ant Man.
Right.
So it's like they were kind of trying new things, but then also kind of forcing those creative people into
Well,
the
what's also
Marvel
interesting
thing.
is they also they pivoted from Edgar Wright to Peyton Reed, who he's a very run of the mill comedy director, but he doesn't do action movies outside of Ant-Man.
Yeah, I don't
So
even know
it's
what he
still not
did.
even that safe of a choice of a pivot where you're like, I think he'll get the comedy right of it. But is he going to make a great Marvel action movie with comedy, or is he going to make a comedy movie that just happens to have action in it, which I would argue Ant-Man's closer to. But I view
Definitely.
that first Ant-Man movie is a good movie. It's a very enjoyable story, and Paul Rudd
Yeah, it's fine.
just gets to cook, which I think is great.
Oh, I didn't realize he directed all of the Ant-Man movies.
Yeah, they've had consistency with him.
I haven't seen the third one, so
I mean,
um,
I think he's the only consistent feature with an entire franchise outside of James Gunn with Guardians of the Galaxy.
yeah.
Because even
Since then, he
the Russos didn't do the first Captain America.
yeah, since the first Ant-Man, he's only done Ant-Man movies and then 2 episodes of The Mandalorian. So not doing much.
He has certainly been adopted into that. With Marvel, Disney has gotten into this. It's almost like old school house directors back in the day, where
Yep.
they just like Disney really does a recycling of everybody. You get in the
Well,
Marvel
that is a new
family,
thing.
and
Like,
then you get into the voice acting family, and then you get in the TV family, and you just keep making the rounds.
well, that seems to be returning because you have a bunch of directors kind of signing contracts with a studio themselves,
Yeah,
which is I don't know. I feel like it's positive and a negative, but
I agree because I think it's good because then you get work, and
guaranteed work. Yeah.
which is awesome. But then also you don't have the because I think there's a difference. Like in the '90s and 2000s with like Spielberg, he would bounce a little bit, but most of the time one.
Universal.
He worked with Universal. He worked with one studio, and granted, he has his own studio, um,
Yes.
production company.
Production company. Yeah.
So but it's a very interesting way of doing it. Or there's like the George Lucas method where he would sign on to have Fox be the distributors of the film, but they
Yep.
have barely, if any, impact post New Hope.
It's funny because Phase Two, I would say, has three of just about the most like typical, what I would call like Marvel movies, where it's just like straight down the line. They're fine. Avengers 2, Ant Man, and Iron Man 3. I'm like, I really don't have opinions about any of that.
Avengers 2 is messy. I enjoy it more than most, but I would agree. They're trying to do
And
way
it's too
too
long.
much. They're trying to do
Too
way
long.
too much. I just it's a show I've pubbed on YouTube a lot. It was a shit show. Great YouTube channel. I highly recommend people go watch the Age of Ultron stuff with that because you can see just how messy Age of Ultron was
And
and why Joss Whedon drops out, which in the retrospect became a really good move.
good, yeah, good move.
But at the time, it looked like what? Like, what do you mean Joss Whedon's not going to be part of the Marvel universe? Because he brought Avengers and he's the first person to make that work. And he was on an all-time high of his career, and he was very popular within the you know community that Marvel has as their base. So at first I was like, what do you mean Joss Whedon's not going to do this? And then when they said Joss Whedon's going to take on the reshoots of Justice League after Zack Snyder had to fall out, I was like, that's a great choice. And then you look and you're like, no, no, it's not.
No, yeah, Joss Whedon's one that definitely over time he became. I could see through a lot of his stuff,
Yeah.
which just like became pretty prototypical. So yeah,
There are directors that
unfortunately,
do that. I mean, admittedly, specifically because of his Marvel stuff, Taika Waititi is like that for me now. Where it just
I get that. Yeah,
because especially those guys that are so good at originally when they first get in are really good at balancing comedy and heart and sincerity. Those guys at first, it's such a breath of fresh air. You're like, oh, this is so nice that We don't have to take everything so seriously, but we still take them seriously and we treat them with sincerity.
Mhm.
And then over time, it feels like all they have left is the jokes, and the jokes don't hit as much, and you just kind of go,
Yeah.
okay.
I'm gonna give Marvel Phase 2 a 6.5.
Okay.
Because really, to me, Captain America 2 and Thor 2 kind of equal itself out. So I'm just bumping it up as 0.5 for Guardians alone.
I'm gonna still say it's a 7. I can't give Jurassic Park a 7 and not Phase 2, because Phase
It's
2 does
fair,
not
yeah.
have Phase 2 outside of it has one bad go, where I would argue 2 below
Yeah.
average goes for Jurassic Park. I'm still gonna say 7. I would consider Winter Soldier and Guardians of the Galaxy both 8.5s or 9s. They're both great. Age of Ultron, I would say, is a 6.75. Ant-Man, I would say, is about a 6.5 or a 7 because it's a straightforward, successful, fun movie. Iron Man 3, I'd put it about a 5. And Thor the Dark World's a 3. Like, it's bad.
It is bad.
And
Out of
ironically, I
50,
still like it more than fucking Thor Ragnarok, so.
eh, out of 50, you got a 36.42.
Okay.
And Phase 2 is going up against How to Train Your Dragon,
Yes.
correct? Okay.
Because what is the average letterbox score?
3.23.
3.23. That's still a respectable score.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like all the Marvel ones kind of have scores exactly like that.
Gotcha. How to Train Your Dragon is an interesting one. This is the franchise that just won't die in this tournament.
Because the numbers are in its favor.
I know they're good movies. They're just so forgettable.
Yes, that's the thing is I really love the first one. Second one, I think I saw once in the theater. It was good. Third one, I saw once at home. It was good, and I never thought about them since.
Exactly. And I remember when Universal started the campaign for Epic Universe, which one day I would like to go to Epic Universe just to kind of get the feel of it.
I do want to go to the Dark Universe part. Yeah.
That's the worst part, is that's the least reviewed one.
Oh, really? That's a shame.
Well, it's not that it's bad, but it's the smallest, I believe, of all of them. And
That makes sense, I guess.
but that's bogus, because that's what makes Universal awesome. is the
Yeah,
monsters, man. So and it's interesting, but I remember they're like, How to Train Your Dragon World. I'm like, of all your franchises, this is
I
what you
thought that was
picked.
weird. Yeah,
And I just didn't get it. Like, I would just go more into Nintendo, expand Nintendo World. You know Nintendo's going to work. Don't say you have 5 parks. Just say you have a beefed up 4. No one's going to bat an eye, and say otherwise.
mhm.
How to Train Your Dragon again. We're not including the live action film in this.
No,
That's
it would
important
only
to
go
say.
down if that was the fact for me.
And so it's important to note that. I don't want to wax poetically about Phase 2 and then not say anything about How to Train Your Dragon. I would say it's a 6.5 for me. They're very good movies, but they're so forgettable. They have such little impact on me as a viewer, but also to the general audience. Like, the most impactful thing, great score. Amazing
Yeah,
score.
that's. I was gonna say. I think I'd give it a 7 because I do think all of them are good movies.
Actually, you know what? That's a
And
lie. I'm going to take it back up to a 7, because you're right. They're good movies.
yeah,
They're just not impactful whatsoever.
it's I do think How to Train Your Dragon, the first one, has a top 10, 20 score out of this century so
Of
far.
this century, I think it could be argued
It's
it's a top 5 score. It's
amazing.
amazing.
Oh, can I point something out real quick?
Yeah.
So I started watching part of Napoleon, Ridley Scott's Napoleon movie.
Yeah.
That movie is so shit. And they straight up use a piece of music that was originally made for Pride and Prejudice. They just straight up take it and use it in Napoleon. And it's a completely original song. It's not like classical music that they're just reusing.
Okay.
It's straight up a song that was made for Pride and Prejudice, and they just throw it in Napoleon. It was the weirdest thing because I was like, I know this music. Like, I can recognize it anywhere. And then I looked it up. I was like, yeah, that is Pride and Prejudice. It was so odd.
Interesting choice. I think
That movie sucks. So I stopped watching after like
Ridley
45 minutes,
Scott's
maybe.
really hit or miss, man. He's really
Especially
just
lately. Yeah.
so. It's important to note that I think your commentary about these two things that are completely unrelated actually does say a lot about this franchise and franchise as a whole. Music is a huge component to a movie franchise.
True.
And How to Train Your Dragon, I think its biggest impact is actually in the social media TikTok era. Because so many people, when they want to do adventure clips or show travel or just something fun, they always use the How to Train Your Dragon theme. Always.
Yeah, I'm not on TikTok, so I don't
To the
know.
point
But
where I just like there are multiple times that I'm not a big TikTok user either. We need to get more into it for the show, but um, just for growth, we
now,
should be on it. But I don't like using it. So many times when I'm on Instagram and I'm looking at national park stuff, and then people are showing their travel, it's always montages of photos or videos in national parks and natural areas set to How to Train Your Dragon. And
mhm.
but here's the crazy part. This is how good the music is. I recognized what it was and immediately loved it and couldn't tell you what franchise it was from at first until I started actually clicking on the music note and being like, "Oh, that
uh,
is How to Train Your Dragon." Like I know the music immediately, but
yeah.
as someone who really does, like I will listen to. Recently, I just went to Medieval Times. A friend wanted to go for her birthday, so we went as a group and and went to Medieval Times. On the way there and the way back, I listened to like music scores almost the entire time because I was also like thinking out loud and talking out loud about a creative project, and it, it like that score was in there and it was amazing. But ironically enough, unless it's directly in my face, my brain can go, uh, "Oh, this is a great theme. What is it from?" I don't do that with almost anything else.
Yeah, most things are recognizable as they're connected.
Yeah.
But out of 50, we got a 40.04.
Holy shit!
First one that
This
has
franchise
cracked
won't
40.
die. This franchise will not die.
I mean, the critics average is a 93.66. Like, it is a juggernaut in terms of numbers. And the audience is 89.3, so also very high.
Yes, very fair, very fair.
Letterboxd average was 3.87.
Holy shit. People don't realize how good of a score that is for a 3 movie set. Does one of them hit the 4 mark?
Yeah, How to Train Your Dragon has a 4.1,
Okay.
and then 3.8, 3.7. So respectable.
I mean, this is an extremely respectable score. So, I mean, you heard it math wise. How to Train Your Dragon wins,
Yes.
which is a wild concept. Now, we should note this just because we've been doing a lot of math to make sure that we are balanced and biased in this. We add the impact score in the next round. I believe we do.
Mhm.
And that is a number Dylan and I will be coming up together with as the general impact of that franchise on pop culture, society, whatever you want to, on movies, whatever you want to have.
Yeah.
So there are going to be times that you might see a number fluctuate a lot more for one franchise over another because the impact of that franchise does need to be recognized, which is
Yep.
why going into our next battle, that's a really important one, and I'll take note of that. So we'll say officially now, How to Train Your Dragon wins Battle 2 or Game 2. And now we go to Toy Story versus Star Wars in Game 3. And
Okay.
why you and I both said this when we saw the scores for Star Wars. Star Wars needs to get to the impact round. Otherwise, Star Wars doesn't have a chance to win.
Yep.
Because it's clearly the most impactful franchise of all time on pop culture. However,
Unfortunately, yes.
well, also, I mean, even beyond the fact of how popular it is and how impactful and inspirational it is to so many creators, it also is truly the push of the digital revolution is through this franchise and its
Well, not just
creator.
that, also merchandising,
Yes,
like everything like that. I mean, it has way more impact, not just culturally, but a lot of parts of your life are impacted by Star Wars in some
correct.
way, which is weird, but
Which I also just thought of this. Do you remember the Jar Jar Binks lollipop from Phantom Menace? Where like you press down on him and then his tongue came out as a
oh,
lollipop.
yep,
Remember that
yep,
one?
yep.
I think one day we should just do a really fun bullshit episode of our favorite really dumb merchandise from movies. And I would
I do
easily put
remember.
that one in there.
You remember? I think it was Pepsi had all those cans that were collectible for
Yeah.
Phantom Menace
Well,
too.
it was PepsiCo because there was like Mountain Dew and Pepsi, and like you had to get through
Yeah,
all of the different brands of Pepsi theoretically to do that.
yeah, because I remember one of our friends, sort of friends, had every single one, and I was like, "Holy fucking shit!" There's a lot of them.
Well, that's the thing is you thought it was like 24 characters. You're like, okay, they're probably gonna put some legacy in there. No, it was legitimately like George Lucas said, no, I want every character on
Yeah, it was
screen
at
on
least
these
50,
cans.
at least.
Good old Dirk
Yep, yep.
is our extended friend Derek, who was off and on, hot and cold,
Yeah,
but
yep.
nonetheless, he had an impressive can collection of
True.
Phantom Menace Star Wars cans. So let's
Um,
talk the movies because I think we already know math wise what's going to happen. We already kind of
yeah.
predicted that. So let's talk
Well,
Toy Story and then let's talk Star
one
Wars.
one sec. Remind me, are we including Solo and Rogue One?
We are not.
Okay. Okay, so Star Wars. Honestly, I think if Solo and Rogue One were in it, it bumped mine up a little
It
bit.
would bump it up like a 2.5 or a 5.5 for me. Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't really like Rogue One that much, but I actually kind of like Solo for what it is.
I
It's
gotta say
perfectly
this.
fine.
If it was any other name and any other character, people would absolutely love that movie. It just you picked the one character that it shouldn't have been based on.
Yeah, that's true. The critic average for Star Wars is a 77.77.
Hilarious.
Audience is 75.44. The letterboxed average for the saga movies is a 3.48.
I'm sorry, what?
3.48
That's
because
ridiculous.
starting with A New Hope, it goes 4.2, 4.4, 4.1. Phantom Menace, 3.1, 3.1, 4.0.
What?
And then the new saga, 3.2, 2.9, 2.3.
So I will say this: Star Wars once again takes away all the credibility of criticism whatsoever.
I would agree with that, especially considering Revenge of the Sith has a 4.0.
That's not right. I'm sorry. You can like Revenge of the Sith. I even look. I might rewatch Revenge of the Sith this week. I almost rewatched Phantom Menace last week simply because I was watching more Light and Magic, and I was talking to a coworker that I have. Shout out to Avery. She's great, and she loves Star Wars. So we talk about Star Wars all the time at work. And I went up to her. I was like, "Hey, I almost watched one of your beloved because she likes the prequel trilogy because she grew up with the prequel trilogy. That was her Star Wars growing up. So um, I was like, hey, I almost watched one of your beloved prequels, and she's like, why? You hate those movies? And I was like, I don't hate. I think they're bad movies. I don't hate them though because I love Star Wars and I love the ideas that come from them. But I reiterate, I'm like, no, there are plenty of times I'll watch a bad movie if there's something stellar in it that I'm trying to think about. And I just rewatched Light and Magic for the like 90th time. So it was like, no, I want to see those landscapes. I want to see the digital stuff in there and try to inform more of my opinion based
Yeah.
solely on that topic. Where I've said this before, I love the art direction of Batman and Robin. It's a shit movie, but I'll go back and watch the production design elements in it because I was like, oh no, that would fit perfectly in this creative idea I have.
How do you feel about Rise of Skywalker is a 2.3, and the next lowest is Last Jedi at 2.9? It's a big jump.
So, here's the thing. From a pure technical sense, Last Jedi is a far better movie than Rise of Skywalker.
I would agree.
But
I hate Last Jedi more.
Last Jedi is, there's a part of me that would argue Last Jedi is the worst Star Wars movie. It's not the worst movie, but it's the
No,
worst Star Wars movie because it does
I would
so
agree.
much to deconstruct negatively, not like deconstruct and let's try to figure this out and get to the root of the character.
Yeah.
It does so much to legitimately piss fans off.
Well, I was gonna say it does feel like Ryan Johnson just kind of slapped everyone in the face.
Yeah.
It's just like, hey, you like all this stuff? It's nothing. Like that's kind of what his answer for every
Well,
single thing in that
I
movie
think
is.
so. We're gonna naturally it's Star Wars. We're gonna talk more Star Wars than we'll Toy Story. I One of the things I do to pass the time because again I am a Star Wars fan. I enjoy it. I really enjoy the lore and the backstories and all that kind of stuff. So another thing I did on my way back from medieval times and also just doing random stuff around the house is I will put lore videos on from the extended universe stuff from back in the day because my favorite ideas that never made it to Star Wars are what happens after Return of the Jedi with Grandmaster Luke Skywalker. Like what happens in that universe. And there are so many comics and books and extended materials from back in the even 80s, especially the 90s and 2000s before they merged it and said, okay, this stuff doesn't count and this stuff counts now. That Luke Skywalker is so fucking cool. And Ryan Johnson is given the opportunity because J.J. Abrams, for some reason, decides he's going to make his MacGuffin, Luke Skywalker, the
Mhm.
greatest asset that he has to use. He's not going to use him.
Yeah,
It's almost such a respectable choice that he shows restraint by not using his best piece. There's almost a weird respectability to it, but it's dumb. So I don't
well, I
respect him at the end of the
also,
day.
yeah, I've said this before. I don't understand the choice of why Disney allowed it. This is where I think a studio should step in and go, hey, what do people want to see the most? And most people probably would have said, we want to see Han, Luke, and Leia together again.
Yeah.
And they straight up don't have a single scene where all of them are together. It's
No,
so weird.
well, look, think about that though. The entire sequel trilogy, you don't see the three of them on screen one time together.
Exactly. It's so weird.
It's the
Um,
stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen. And that's why, like, why Last Jedi, to reiterate, why, like, I'm criticizing the letterbox scoring, I'm criticizing the Rotten Tomatoes scoring, I'm criticizing so much. Ryan Johnson is finally given the opportunity that legitimately one or even two generations of moviegoers has been dying to see. We want to see Jedi Master Luke Skywalker. And he immediately chooses to say, well, what if Luke wasn't a Jedi? And he willingly chose not to be a Jedi because he went against all his character traits and thought about killing his nephew.
yeah.
Wouldn't kill
I
his
mean,
dad, wouldn't kill the Emperor, the two worst forces in the galaxy, but he gets scared by his nephew who's not as powerful as him, and he's like, maybe I should just kill him.
out of
What are we
all
talking
these,
about? What are we
out
doing?
of all these letterbox scores, I only think two of them are actually accurate. With A New Hope as a 4.2 and Empire Strikes Back as a 4.4. Those are accurate to me. The rest is like
Where would you put Return of
completely.
the Jedi? I don't think it's far off.
I
I don't know if it's a 4. I want to make
it to
that
me
clear.
it's like a 3.8 maybe.
I think that's a very fair. That's what I was thinking. I think that's a 3. I think it's a high 3s. I don't know if it's a
And then
4.
I would give legitimately Episode 1, Episode 2, Episode 8, and Episode 9, 2.5 or less. All of them.
I mean, you heard what I said about Attack of the Clones. Like, Attack of the Clones is fucking terrible.
Oh, it's arguably the worst of it, just in terms of a movie itself. It's bad, but I mean, that's the thing is these numbers are so inflated by fandom.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's a 6.96 letterboxed out of 10, 3.48 when you do it out of 5. And I would say 6.96 does sound pretty accurate to me. It's just weird how it
gets there. I again, I'm gonna give Star Wars I will bump it to a 7.5 because of how much impact it has. Because I know it ain't gonna win.
I'm not including impact at all. I'm doing it purely personal. It's a 6.5 for me.
I do enjoy Star Wars, so that's why I'll give it what I gave it.
Yeah.
Because,
so out of 50.
no, that's fine. I'm going back to 7 because I gave Jurassic Park and Phase 2
Okay, 1
sevens,
second.
and I enjoy some of those a lot more than I enjoy any of these Star Wars movies.
Okay, so out of 50 then, it's a 35.71.
Okay. I think is where it belongs.
I would agree.
It's a C minus.
If you take bias out of it, that sounds about right. And then Toy Story. I think Toy Story has 3 legitimate masterpieces and 1 very good movie.
I'm gonna say it quickly. Toy Story is an 8 for me. I don't have much to add because I know Toy Story is about to win. And I will try to save some of my commentary for later.
Okay, so Toy Story, just doing the math here. Letterbox average for Toy Story is a 3.83. All because the first one's a 4.1, second 3.9, third 4.0, and then fourth is 3.3. So pretty big gap in between those.
Sure.
I mean,
say the average letterbox score was? The average?
3.83.
Okay.
Out of 5. 1 sec, I just gotta write this down here.
I mean, Toy Story again. It's such a. It's clearly the most impactful animation of all time from modern perspective.
I would agree because it's literally where the entire industry went. Was in the direction of Toy Story.
Right.
So it's hard to argue. Yeah, it's like. You said what was your score?
I went with an 8.
Okay.
I think the only thing I will say negatively, and it's not really a negative, is it's definitely not How to Train Your Dragon territory forgettable, but there are times it's easy for me to kind of go like, oh yeah, it's Toy Story. And just kind of
I would also, I'd probably give it an 8, 8.25. That sounds about right to me.
Sure.
So total, you got 42.83.
Holy shit.
The numbers are very stacked because the critic score for the Toy Story, the average is 98.5. It has 2 movies that are rated 100 by the critics.
This is a juggernaut. I'm telling you, this is a juggernaut. Again,
I think it makes sense.
This is where. Here's the thing. Not to give us props, but here's how you can tell we didn't rig anything. If we wanted to get the best quote unquote numbers of content, we would have made the easiest path ever for Star Wars so we could talk about Star Wars in every episode.
I mean, I would disagree with that choice, but yes, you do have a point.
I mean, if we were talking in sheer numbers, we would put Star Wars in every episode. Because also, all due respect, I fight for Star Wars all the time on our channel because our numbers go up when we talk about Star Wars. So,
and I constantly fight against it.
Yes, you do. There's a balance there.
Hot take: Star Wars sucks butts. How about that? It's not true, but
you're not far off, though.
That's kind of my opinion. of it.
I mean, the majority of my. I look at half that franchise of just Star Wars and go, it's below average or meh,
Yeah.
and that's not good
Um,
enough. So, I mean, I will say I want to do an episode of just Star Wars merchandise and just be like like just go on kind of like not nearly as in depth as we did with your best picture tier lists. Which, by the way, thank you viewers for watching that as much as you did. That's been doing really well for us, and I'm glad because that's a very much a Dylan
okay.
project.
Good to hear.
But the I would love to just be you and I just sharing a screen, just being like, the fuck is this merchandise? Like, what are we
I
doing?
bet there's quite a bit of weird shit.
So it'll be fun for that. But we'll go on to the next battle here. Star Wars couldn't make it to the impact round. Godfather versus The Dark Knight. Now, I'm going to try to be as unbiased as I possibly can. But as you know, I find the Dark Knight trilogy to be fucking great.
Hey, it's your sport. Do whatever you want with it.
No, but I try to have as much bias. I try to be as unbiased in my opinion as possible, which is why I've changed some of my scores where I'm like, no, if I'm comparing these, I find these to be quite even. So I'll say 7 instead of like a 6.5 or a 7.5. I'm like, no, I would compare those almost even footing. I'm going to put them here. So I don't want to just say it's Batman. I love it. Fuck you. It's a 10 and nothing matters to me. Right.
Hey, it's your personal score. I
So,
gave Harry Potter 10.
so where do you want to start? Godfather or Dark Knight?
Let's do Dark Knight.
Okay.
Critic average 88.67. Audience average 92.67. And the letterboxd average is above a 4. It's 4.03.
Hey, dude. That says a lot right there.
Yeah, it does. Because The Dark Knight is tied for second in terms of highest letterbox with 4.5
In this
or 5.
tournament,
Yeah. There's only one movie that gets above a 4.5.
I'm trying to figure out what that is.
We'll be talking about it next.
I assumed that was where it was. I assumed. But so I will try to go quicker on Dark Knight than usual.
I'll just say I really love the first. Second one is undeniably a masterpiece. Third one, quite a fall off for me. Also, I will say I think third one's too long for what it is, but it's still a good movie.
It's still a really good movie.
Like
So,
there's parts of it that are like just as good as the other two,
yeah.
but then there's parts that are like undeniably worse than the other
Sure.
two.
Sure.
So
I'm going to go straight up back up to Dark Knight and I will say I'm going to go 9.5. I'm not going to give it a 10 because I would argue Dark Knight's a 10. Batman Begins, I have like a 8.75, 8.5, 8.59, somewhere in there. It fluctuates, and I would do the exact same thing for Dark Knight Rises. I have a soft spot for Dark Knight Rises. I do. So that's where, ironically enough, I don't think I'm most biased for the Dark Knight specifically. I think I'm most biased towards Dark Knight Rises.
is Dark Knight Rises the box office number one box office of that year?
It's Avengers.
Oh,
Just
okay.
remember they came out 2 months from each other. It was a great summer to be a comic book fan. Let me tell you.
Yeah, because I was going to say it's been a while since I've seen Dark Knight Rises. Might be worth a rewatch at some point.
Well, I mean, we can do it next year for a 15-year anniversary. So
Yeah. So what are you giving the trilogy as a whole?
9.5.
I would give it a 7 point.
Oh,
I'll go 7.75.
okay.
So out of 50,
Actually, hold on. I'm going to switch mine to a 9. Only because
uh,
I view Indiana Jones as the exact same. And if I gave Indy a 9. Oh, wait, no, I didn't. I'm going back to 9.5 because I forgot the two that brought Indy back down from a 9.5 to
okay.
a 9. So I'm going to go 9.5 on The
Then
Dark Knight.
then it is a 43.45 out of
Holy
50.
shit.
Very good. Very, very good. Um, Yeah, Letterbox 3.8, 4.5, 3.8. I think a little bit low for Batman Begins,
I
but
agree. Batman Begins gets slept on. It's a really good movie.
I think it's the one that feels the least like a Nolan movie. So I think
Yeah.
that does have to go against it for
Well,
most people.
what I find most interesting about Batman Begins is that, sorry, I have to do my sports parable. Batman Begins, though, the one thing I will say, outside of when we covered it in before and the funny stories of you scaring the shit out of me with Batman Begins,
Hmm.
was Batman Begins is one of those movies where a franchise starts and for some reason you really just believe it's going to get better, and it does. It lives up to every piece of hype. You're like, they set this up way too well. There's no like I that's the most confident I think I've ever been in a follow-up in my life, where I just went, I don't think there's a way they're going to miss. And then The Dark Knight turned out to be as good as it was, and I was like, yeah, like they hit literally every single piece out of the park with the follow-up, but they did such a good job of setting it up through Batman Begins that
Yeah.
it just gets slept on because I think Dark Knight did such a good job.
Okay, Godfather. Like I said before, this is the only one that rates the highest out of letterbox scores. Number two has a 4.6. The first one has a 4.5,
Oh my
so it's
god.
tied for second. And then three, there's a big dumping on. It gets a 3.5.
That's still too kind to that movie.
I would agree. That is very kind. Also, number three really fucks up the math for this franchise
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, Rotten Tomatoes, it goes 97, 98, 96, 97, 66, 68.
Mm-hmm.
And I'd say, yeah, that's fair.
That's fair. That's
The
very fair.
letterbox av- the letterbox average is a 4.2, which is the highest of any franchise.
Agreed. So here's where I'll go Godfather. The quality of the first two films is undeniable. The likability of the two first films, I do think, is questionable.
For you personally.
Not even for me personally. I just think there's a reason that The Godfather is inherently, especially for a modern audience, and I think there's both criticism for the modern audience in this and for Godfather in this. It's a long, boring watch, a lot of the Godfathers, both of them. And I view The Godfather favorably. I really, really do enjoy the first Godfather movie, but it is sometimes it's a chore to watch that fucking movie.
I disagree with that about the first one. The second one, there are parts I would
Well,
agree
that's
with.
why
It does lag.
I've only watched Godfather 2. If I watched it twice, yeah, I think I watched it twice because I tuned out so much during the young Vito Corleone stuff that I just went, I don't
Which
care.
is funny because that's my favorite part of it.
That's most people's favorite part, and that's why I find it. I find myself funny in that. Not that like people are wrong, because I just find it to be so dull most of the time. Like, who fucking cares? And that's where like the most compelling stuff to me is when Michael's really being the heel, and he's willing to take
Yeah.
out his own brother and everything. That's the stuff that I'm like, that's the meat.
Well,
That's what I want
that
to
is
see.
like the heart of that franchise is the character arc of Michael.
Right.
Like it is undeniably one of the best character arcs
Oh yeah.
and deconstruction of a character. Like it's great.
So I'm going to say this for The Godfather. I'm going to say it's an 8. Two undeniably great movies, regardless of my personal opinion of them. I'm going to dock them 0.25 for likability from those two movies because likability I would also watch is in watchability, and they're not stuff that you just say, today, for instance, I did not get called into work because we had a snow day and they haven't said anything. By the way, I'm also going to Project Hail Mary early today, so that's going to be fun. But
Nice.
today, if I have
You can
time,
tell you don't have to show.
well, yeah, I'm in an apartment right now.
Yeah.
I probably, well, you never know because it's Wisconsin, but there is a possibility I won't have to shovel as a homeowner until late 2026. So
Sure.
because when we close on it, but Godfather 3 is legitimately bad. It's bad.
I don't think it's bad, but it's about average to me.
I would argue.
I take that back because there are a lot of parts. I actually view Godfather 3 like I view Attack of the
I was
Clones.
about to say the exact same thing. I think
There's parts of
I
it that are
think
good.
Hayden Christensen and Natalie Portman have more chemistry than Andy Garcia and Sofia Coppola. Do you know how hard that is to say?
I disagree. I think they're about equal, and that's not saying much because out of like a 10, if I was going to give that love story, both of them would get about a 2.
Both of them would get a 1 for me. I don't buy a single fucking thing.
Yeah. Uh, Andy Garcia is good in that movie, though,
Yes, he is.
whereas
He's really
Hayden
good.
Christensen is not good in
I would,
Attack of the
I
Clones.
would agree.
So, what are you giving it, Godfather as a whole?
I'll go an 8. I'm going to take.
Okay.
I would say if it was just those first
You,
two, I'd say 8
you're
5.
giving it more than me.
I'm trying to be fair. I'm just trying to be fair.
I'm gonna give it a 7.75, the same I gave Dark Knight. Because I do think The Godfather 1 and 2 are better movies than anything in The Dark Knight. But also this is purely my likability score.
Sure.
So out of 50, it's a 41.54.
Another juggernaut taken down simply because of seating.
Well, not just that, it's because Godfather 3
It's so
had
bad.
the math really gets taken down because of it.
I mean, I think it's accurate. I think it's an accurate reflection.
I mean, it gets a full point six taken off for Letterboxd, and it gets at least 10 downgraded 10 just because Rotten Tomatoes too, just because the third one is so bad.
Uh-huh.
So yeah,
Well, maybe they should have paused something for a couple weeks and pivoted instead of just casting Sofia Coppola, who, by the way, good director.
well, it was supposed to be Winona Ryder at one point,
Yeah,
wasn't it? I don't know if that'd be much better.
I think it would have. And I don't know if it would have been chemistry wise, but I could have told you this. Winona Ryder, far better on screen than Sofia Coppola.
I doubt. I don't. That doesn't seem to be like a pairing that I would view as a
I
good
don't think
pair
it's a
of.
fit. I want to make it
No,
very
no, no.
clear.
I'm not saying Andy Garcia and her. I'm saying Francis Ford Coppola directing and her acting.
I mean, well, Coppola is an interesting character study, which we should probably visit on
Yes.
a show one time. It also will pain me, so we have to prep for it because I'm gonna have to watch a lot of long fucking movies to really study Coppola. And here's the thing: one of my favorites, Godfather and Godfather 2, are clearly his best work, and they're not even close to likability wise my favorite of Coppola's stuff. Granted, I am biased because I love Dracula so much, but I think Dracula is literally is my favorite of all of his work.
I like Apocalypse Now, and I like The Conversation more than either of the Godfathers.
So it's an interesting one. That it's a great what if. Like I just look, you do somewhat just get fortunate in by circumstance, but like Batman '89, Sean Young is Vicky Vale, and literally until the last weekend beforehand because she gets into a horse riding accident. And then they cast Kim Basinger on like 24 hours notice. Where it happened and they went, "Oh fuck, we're shooting in London in like 3 days. We need someone to come in here and do it." And she was available and it worked out for the better.
It's
But
weird. I can't picture Sean Young in that movie.
I agree. But at the
It's
same
weird.
time, I think it's the flip side of the coin. I know for a fact he didn't originally cast Sophia, his daughter, as that role.
Hmm.
And then last minute they pivoted because of something. And then he's like, "Oh, let's just go with Sophia. She's here." And I was like, "No." Like,
Yeah, it's a terrible choice, but it is what it is.
That's what they made. That's what they did. Alrighty. So Dark Knight takes it over The Godfather. Dark Knight's again. What I like about this is that I feel like we're getting to the creme de la creme now. We're getting to the good stuff. So it's an interesting one
Yeah, we're getting
nonetheless.
to the point where all these franchises are undeniably good.
Let's talk about undeniably good once again and go to the flip side of the bracket. Lord of the Rings taking on Mission Impossible. I don't want to drag this one out too much. As you know, Lord of the Rings is amazing. Mission Impossible also really fun, but it's a sandwich. It's a hill. That's how I would say Mission Impossible is.
Yeah, I'm just gonna say this isn't even gonna be close
Yep.
because in terms of consistency of a franchise, Lord of the Rings takes it.
Oh yeah.
All three are undeniably great.
Mm-hmm.
The letterbox is 4.4, 4.4, 4.5.
And I think that's highly accurate.
Yeah, I would say it is accurate.
So, what is their average on that one? Just because I don't have it in front of me.
4.43.
I was gonna say it's gotta be like 4.43. Is that the best average letterbox score? Because it's higher than both The Dark Knight and The Godfather.
It must be then.
I believe it is because I'm not. All due respect to the rest of the competitors, I know they're not going to be in that conversation. So,
Yeah, yeah, it's definitely the highest.
um,
All three of them are in the 4.0 club, which that's saying something too.
I will say this: it's a 9.5 once again for me.
Okay.
It's and I have no problem saying this early and whenever. Best film trilogy of all time, and I don't think it's a competition.
I'd also give it. Mm, I'll give it a 9.
That's high praise. It's high
Yeah, I
praise.
mean, because it is like, other than Harry Potter, it is probably my favorite franchise. That or Indiana Jones, but Lord of the Rings are actually like three undeniably great, and they don't really have a low point
No, they do not.
unless you're including Hobbit, but that's a completely different thing. Um, yeah, critic average is 93.66. Audience average is 92.
Holy fuck.
So it is a lot like Toy Story in terms of numbers.
Yeah.
The only thing that throws Toy Story off is the fourth one.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, it is one of those things.
Well, maybe we should have left something alone and not try to make a franchise out of it. Who would have thought?
That's how I feel about everything. But
I have
okay,
no problem with trilogies. I have no problem with this is the story. I have no problem with series. If that's what the story is, that's what the story is. But there was a clear end to Toy Story, and then they just decided let's do more Toy Story. It's like why?
exactly. Yes, I completely agree. Out of 50, The Lord of the Rings gets a 45.92.
45.92. You said that is the first franchise that actually gets into the A minus category.
Yeah, yeah. Only 4 points knock off. Like, that's pretty
That's an people
spectacular.
don't realize how insanely good that is.
Yeah, and the worst reviewed one in terms of Rotten Tomatoes is Return of the King. But then on Letterboxd, it's Return of the King is the highest one.
Return of the King. I mean, Return of the King was in your exclusive S tier of quality in your Best Picture winners, which says a lot.
Yeah, one of the few. Yeah,
Which also, ironically, was with what Godfather and Silence of the Lambs, but specifically this tournament, Godfather was also an S. So it's
yeah.
really interesting.
Schindler's List.
Yep.
Yeah,
I mean, that's exclusive company to be in with how good of a movie that is.
Mhm.
So, Lord of the Rings is undeniably great. Let's talk Mission Impossible quick.
I mean, it's going. Lord of the Rings is going to win. I can just tell you that without even looking at the
Yeah,
math.
this is sports casting. This is
But if you took Mission Impossible 4, 5, 6, it would be one of the best trilogies
mhm,
of all time. The problem is there's a couple on either end that are just fine. Like,
above average.
I would not say 2 is above average,
We've
but
had this conversation, but in aggregate, they're above average to good. Both ends are above average to
Yeah,
good.
yes, yes.
2 is by far the low point, but nonetheless.
In terms of letterbox, the average is 3.55. I'll go in terms of each movie now. First one, 3.6, 2.7, 3.4, 3.7, 3.8, 4, 3.7, 3.5. It is
Huh.
very consistent, except 2.
Yeah.
The only one that gets a 4 is Fallout 6.
Which is interesting. Which one would you say is the best?
I like Rogue Nation the most.
I think Rogue Nation is probably my favorite of them.
I think most people would probably say the fourth,
Ghost
Ghost
Protocol?
Protocol. I think
I think
most
Ghost
people say that's
Protocol is
their
the best
favorite.
stunt of all. I think Ghost
Yes.
Protocol, I mean, there's a reason it was in our final 4. That
Yeah.
Ghost Protocol scene is so good on the
I
bird
also
cage.
think Rogue Nation's the underwater, like
Incredible.
that one is also great. Fallout has another great. All of them have one great standout part.
Yes.
I think those 3 are better than any of the other ones.
I would agree.
I think honestly, the Halo jump in Fallout is ruined by visual effects because that stunt alone would have looked great.
Yes.
You can see VFX breakdowns of it, and them throwing like storms and everything on top of it, completely unnecessary.
Yeah.
And that's nothing against the visual effects artists. It's just stating like, "Hey, this was
Sometimes
all practical," and then you threw a bunch of stuff on it. That's not entirely necessary.
part of being an artist is also knowing when to stop.
Yes, yeah. So
I mean, it's an
critic
interesting
average
space.
82.4, audience average 77.13.
I will take Mission Impossible up to a 7.5. I just think they're such a reliably good, enjoyable franchise. I don't think you go in outside of 2. I don't think there's a single one that you walk out of as an average audience member going like, this whatever. Like, I think you walk out everyone favorably saying like, oh, this is really fun, this is really enjoyable. And part of the reason I have 7s on Phase 2, How to Train Your Dragon, and Jurassic Park and Star Wars. They have such great high points, but you don't walk out of all of those going like, God, I had a great time.
Yeah, I think I will match you on that. I think it's 7.5. I think that's good. Out of 50, that means it's a 38.45.
Hey, not
Honestly,
bad.
you take number 2 out, and I bet that jumps to 40.
Yeah,
I don't know that for a fact.
it'd be damn
Just looking at
close.
it,
It'd be
it'd
damn
be
close.
very close, though.
I think Mission Impossible. I think there's some Tom Cruise hate in there. I think there's a lot of other stuff where it's just not everyone's cup of tea.
Mhm.
Ironically, I think most people think James Bond is more Mission Impossible score wise, and it's the opposite. Does that make sense? Where most people view Bond as the more prestigious and the higher quality
Yeah.
because they're like, oh, it's secret agents and spies and saving the world. And it's like, yes, there are similarities. They are parables, but they're not the same, obviously. But myself as well, if you said pick one or the other, I would say I enjoy Bond more than I enjoy Mission Impossible on average. But
So
then
I'd
I
say the opposite.
but then I
Yeah.
look at it, I'm like, no, I don't know if I actually say that. I think I just love the character of James Bond more. I think Bond's more compelling of a character, but I can't say I enjoy the movies more because I keep looking at it, I'm like, no, Ghost Protocol's awesome, Rogue Nation's awesome, Fallout's
Mhm.
awesome, Final Reckoning Part 1 and
Has
then
parts.
is really fun. Dead Reckoning is also has parts I love. And mission, like I was a defender of Mission Impossible 2 earlier, where there's parts that are really fun in that. So I'm not going to say
Yeah,
there isn't greatness there. Um, Now, as we said, Lord of the Rings is taking it.
for sure. Yes.
I mean, there's a scary portion where that impact score has to be hugely in favor of one category or the other for Lord of the Rings to get knocked out.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll
That's
see.
that's sports casting there, folks. That's not me saying it's going to happen. I'm just saying by the numbers, it's going to be incredibly difficult to take out. Let's go to now one of your darlings versus one of my darlings. I think I know how it's going to go, but nonetheless, we have Harry
Okay.
Potter taking on the Evil Dead.
Okay. Harry Potter. Letterboxd average 3.81.
That's higher than I thought it would be, honestly.
You talk about another consistent franchise. I'll just go down the line. 3.8, 3.6, 4.1, 3.9, 3.7, 3.7, 3.7, 4. Like, it's very, very narrow in terms of gap.
I don't know if any singular Harry Potter movie outside of maybe Azkaban I could argue is a 4 on a Letterboxd. Having said that, I think they're all extremely high threes.
I think 3 is definitely, I mean, to me, it is fantastic.
Yes,
It's definitely over a 4 for me, but yeah, I see that. Chamber of Secrets is the lowest
I would agree.
in terms of the letterbox. In terms of Rotten Tomatoes, it's Order of the Phoenix that is the lowest. But even I'm just looking at the numbers, even for Rotten Tomatoes, the biggest is 96. The lowest is 74. So that's still pretty narrow in terms of
Yeah.
numbers as a whole.
Harry Potter is, as you said, extremely consistent franchise. It's something in which my time as a Potterhead has gone by in terms of
Mhm.
like I was most interested and obsessed with it as a younger child in elementary school.
Yeah,
Having said that, I have been impressed every time I've revisited it because I've allowed it in my head to kind of simmer to the point where I don't think about it, and then when I revisit, I'm like, "Holy shit, this is really good."
I don't think it gets the love that it deserves in terms of how consistent it is.
I would agree.
Especially considering they do it over 8 movies.
Well, I would say it's very similar to Mission Impossible. You don't walk out of a theater with Harry Potter and have a bad time. You're always going, that was such an enjoyable, fun time and whatever. And they're very consistent about what they're giving you. They have their thing, they do their thing. I think they are very good parables to each other in terms of their quality.
I think Harry Potter's a little more consistent, but that's just me. Um,
Fair. It's arguable, but it's fair.
should I give it my personal score of 10 again?
Yeah, you can give it whatever you so choose. I
I'll
at
give
least
it a
tried to
9. I'll give it a 9.75. How about that?
Well, you already gave it a 10 last time. So if you want to give it a 10 again, go right fucking ahead.
I'll just give it 9.75.
I like how you're saying that as if it's like an
I know.
insult.
It hurts me.
I'm sorry. I don't think you can call the film series perfect.
It is to me, but
I I mean,
it also it really helps that I am very biased about the books as well.
yes.
So
So I am going to give Harry Potter an 8.
yeah.
I think they're very yeah, I don't I'll go 8. I think
Okay.
I would view it similar to Toy Story, but I think I enjoy Harry Potter more than I enjoy Toy Story. They just don't stick with me nearly as much. And there
Yeah,
are
that's fair.
there's pieces of the franchise that just kind of go, okay, whatever. And then there are pieces that I'm like, oh, it's really good. Like
Yeah,
Azkaban has always stuck with me. Goblet of Fire, even though it's I would say one of the weaker entries. I'd love for you to
it is.
stack rank it, but it's to me it's one of the weaker entries, and I've never really loved it. And also, as someone who I'm not saying I never went with an awkward teenage phase. Everybody's going through an awkward teenage phase, but I didn't do the like classic, mop head teenage phase like many boys did. So
I
this,
did.
I know you did. Yeah, your
Yeah.
Shaggy looking hair. You legitimately looked like Shaggy from Scooby Doo. Uh,
I pretty much had the exact same hair as Ron in that
yes, you
in the
did.
Goblet of Fire.
Yes, you did.
So
It's just, but it's such an awkward period, and I think the only one that really shines is Emma Watson.
I mean,
And
she is the star of the three,
oh,
even though nowadays she's not because she doesn't do anything
well,
anymore.
she's chosen not to act anymore,
Yeah, yeah,
and which I find hilarious because of the three core actors, I would say she's the best actress or actor of the three.
I would agree.
I just think she's such an interesting and unique case. She is kind of a
Yeah,
modern throwback to one of those stars that just decided I'm just done. I'm just
hey,
done. You know,
she can do what she wants.
she makes more podcasting appearances than she does on screen. It's crazy.
Okay, out of 50, it's a 41.99.
Can't get to that 42 mark, huh?
Well, we'll see if I bump it up back up to 10 again.
Hey, it's a great score. I mean, that's a huge score to have. It's higher than The Godfather, you know?
Yeah, yeah.
So it's an interesting one nonetheless. Let's go to Evil Dead here.
Okay.
I think I know what the math is going to say.
Letterboxd average is 3.76,
Interesting.
which is not far off of Harry Potter, really.
Thank you.
0.76 times 2 out of 10, that means it's a 7.52
Interesting.
for Letterboxd.
I'm sorry,
And the critic
repeat that one you said?
okay, so it's a Letterboxd is 3.76 out of 5
Wow.
average.
That's a great
Uh,
letterbox score for that. I That's low. That's higher than I thought it was going to be, honestly.
well, the critic average on Rotten Tomatoes is 80.33. Audience is 86.66. It is very high.
It's a great franchise. It's awesome.
I
Oh,
don't love it personally.
I will give Evil Dead the same score I gave Harry Potter. That is an 8.
Okay.
I think outside of, I'm just looking at a glance here, and it's also an interesting twist because the horror franchises should also be equated in this as well, like Halloween and Nightmare on Elm Street. Outside of The Dark Knight and Lord of the Rings, I don't know how many franchises know themselves and their audience better than Evil Dead does. It's a
Uh,
flavor of ice
yeah,
cream.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
And that's the one thing I would say in its favor. It's like I truly do believe that Evil Dead knows what it wants to be and sticks to what it wants to be the
I do
entire time.
think I do think Evil Dead is one of the lesser in terms of like user friendly,
Sure.
if you know what I mean. Like,
Oh yeah, it's hard. It's confusing at first. Yes.
yeah, I would give it a 6.5 just because I like the first one the most, which is no one ever says that.
Yes, that is correct.
Um, so out of 50, it's a 38.71, which that's way higher than I thought
I would
Evil
agree.
Dead would be. So,
I mean,
and it's
we have a
just
Harry.
for the
Continue.
just for stating it, if you add in the 2013 and the newest one, it would go down.
Yes.
So,
I mean, I will have a review up of the new Evil Dead when it comes up in July. I am interested to see where that goes. I think the first Fede Alvarez Evil Dead relaunch is a very good, interesting horror movie, but
yeah, I like it.
it is a straight horror movie.
Yes.
There's none of the fun slapstick
Oh,
invitation of the old
yes.
stuff. It is a in it. I will say this, one of the darker movies I've ever watched. In terms of just, it is a dark tone and it is bleak the whole time.
Yeah, that's fair. It is.
Where even
Uh,
even some of the classic horror movies, they have those couple seconds of brightness to at least try to get you to relax a little bit and get you back in.
yeah,
Evil Dead does not, like the Evil Dead reboot does not do that at all. It's very much just like, we want you to know you're fucked, you're gonna be fucked, and you will be fucked this entire time. You're like, okay.
yeah. I mean, that's kind of Fede Alvarez as a whole,
Yeah.
but that's okay. I like it.
All right, let's take it to one of more of a kill my darlings here. We go to James Bond versus the MCU Phase 3. So, important to note, I already said it, but Harry Potter takes it over Evil Dead 4199 over 3871. But here we have James Bond versus MCU Phase 3. James Bond, ironically enough, is one of the lowest scorers left in the tournament. It is possibly the only. I'm looking from last week here. And it is. No, I'm sorry. It is the second lowest survivor left. And it is only one of two that was in the 20s from our personal scores and the Rotten Tomatoes. So just knowing the math as you go in, that's how it is. Let's talk
Okay, so
Bond as fast as possible because there's
yeah,
25 films.
only one of them has a 4.0. Can you guess which?
Casino Royale.
Yep. On Letterboxd, that's the only one that cracks a 4.
What are the other
All the
high?
rest.
What are the other high points?
Let's see here.
Because I would assume Skyfall is high. I would
Gold
assume
Goldfinger has a 3.8.
that was another one I was going to say.
Um,
I wouldn't be shocked if From Russia with Love had a high score. I wouldn't be shocked if Spy Who Loved Me had a higher score.
the highest Roger Moore on Letterboxd only has 3.5,
Wow.
which is his third one. Which
Spy Who Loved Me.
okay,
Because it's
Pierce.
Live and Let Die, Man with a Golden Gun, Spy Who Loved Me.
Yep, Pierce Brosnan 3.6, 3.1, 2.9, 2.6.
Yeah, I knew GoldenEye was going to be a higher ranking one as well. So, I mean,
Skyfall does have a 3.9.
yep.
So in terms of averages per Bond, Connery's average is 3.35. Roger Moore is 3.09. Timothy Dalton is 3.35. Brosnan 3.05, the lowest. Craig 3.5.
That's really interesting.
And then George Lazenby has a 3.4 average
yeah.
because he only did one movie.
Yeah, good old George. Good old George there. So,
Oh, by the way, Die Another Day is the lowest reviewed out of all of them.
even over View to a Kill.
Yeah, Die Another Day has a 2.6. But View to a Kill is a
That's wrong.
2.9.
I love View to a Kill, but as you know, it's a guilty pleasure of mine.
Die Another Day is fucking garbage.
But so is View to a Kill. View to a Kill. You have Roger Moore in his Depends as Bond.
Yeah.
And he's like, there's a couple shots when they're running up, quote unquote, the Eiffel Tower, and direct quotes there, the Eiffel Tower, that it is so clearly a stunt double. It's one of the worst editing jobs I've ever seen, where it's just so clearly not the actor.
Yeah.
That it's just like, come on, guys. Come on. You know?
I mean, he's like almost 60 in that movie.
He's 57 at that time, yeah.
Yeah, so.
And also, it's just weird because, like, Grace Jones looks great, and he's in bed with Grace Jones, and then he's also.
Yeah.
It's just a weird. Also, it's like it's the most I've run out of ideas Bond ever. They're at an equestrian center for half of it, and then they're like in San Francisco, and you're like, all due respect, I love San Francisco, great city, great place to visit, but I wouldn't consider that like a Bond city, you know.
Yeah, I would agree.
And then
In terms of overall averages, it has a 3.26 average.
I'm going to say Bond is a 7 for me because I absolutely adore it, but it has more low points than any other franchise ever.
And that's why I'm gonna give it a 6. Because for every good one, there's a bad one.
I think you could argue for every good one, there's 2 bad ones, but
I wouldn't say that. I mean, like, legitimately bad.
Yeah.
Whereas just like there's a lot of them that are just like 6 down the middle.
Again, well, there's a new James Bond game coming out at the end of May. I wanted to do a James Bond special of some kind to kind of do the gaming channel and those Davies boys together.
That game's supposed to be good.
I hope so. It looks good, but every James Bond game looks good, and then they almost all get reviewed poorly. So
yeah. So out of 50,
there's no good old Nightfire from back in the GameCube days.
There was one on Xbox 360, I want to say, that I really liked. Can't remember what it was though.
Oh, it had Daniel Craig in it. Yeah, I remember. We owned it for a while.
Yeah,
it wasn't great. I know that, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah. Out of 50, Bond gets a 33.22.
Better than Jurassic Park?
Yeah.
And what did you say the average letterbox was?
3.26. If you throw in Never Say Never Again, it's a 3.24.
Yeah.
Pretty much if you throw in Never Say Never Again, everything just goes down by like a 0.2 or 2, pretty much.
All right, let's go to phase 3.
Phase 3, okay.
I would argue is the best phase overall.
Captain America 2, Doctor Strange,
Captain America
Guardian
3.
Isn't that what I said?
You said 2.
Oh, sorry, 3. Guardians 2, Spider-Man, Homecoming, Thor 3, Black Panther, Avengers 3, Ant-Man 2, Captain Marvel, Avengers 4, Spider-Man, Far From Home.
Yeah.
Best reviewed one on Rotten Tomatoes is Spider-Man Far From Home.
Which is hilarious because no one remembers that movie.
But once you throw in Letterboxd, the highest is
Black Panther.
The last 2 Avengers, 3 and 4.
Both
of them have a 4.0.
Interesting.
And those are the best 2 in terms of the Marvel as a whole. They're the only 2 that have a 4.0.
Yeah. So I'm going to go very quickly here on phase 3. I think it's an 8. Highly enjoyable. I hate Thor Ragnarok. I think it's trash. But beyond that, I view all of those movies, besides that, favorably or extremely favorably.
You know what's a little bit surprising? Ant-Man 2 on Letterboxd has a 2.8. That doesn't make sense to me. No, it's a 3. It's a 6 out of 10.
It's a straightforward, nice little action movie.
Okay, you said it was...
I said it was an 8.
8, okay.
I can assume you're going to go 6.5 or 7. In that range.
6.5.
I was going to say, you're not going to give Marvel that high of a grade.
Because I don't really like Cap 3. Civil War, I think it was good when it came out, but the more I watch it, the less I like it.
It's more of the thrill of what comes from it. It's not actually the movie itself.
The only standouts to me are both the Spider-Mans and both the Avengers.
I would say Black Panther's a standout.
I've made my points on Black Panther very clear. I love it until I hate it.
I can't wait for 2 years from now when we have to sit and rewatch Black Panther. It's going to be
we are going to have to.
It's a very interesting watch. Well, it's not the biggest one of the year. I believe that's Infinity War, but we're going to have to revisit Black Panther.
I'm pretty sure Black Panther is number 1 that year. I think so.
Interesting. Nonetheless. I mean, Black Panther it was a good year for Marvel. Let's just be frank. They had 3 movies that all did really well financially. You had Black Panther, you had Infinity War, you had Ant-Man and the Wasp. So it was a good year to be a Marvel fan.
Yes, Black Panther's number 1.
Wow.
At least domestically. I don't know about worldwide.
Also, still one of my favorite anecdotes I've ever heard from any theater. I was not in the theater, but I just love one of my favorite. Um, they also review movies, but I know them from doing wrestle talk and stuff. And um, his name's Luke Owen, and he was in a theater for Black Panther and for Infinity War. And when T'Challa gets dusted, there's just a young black woman that just goes, "Not my king," when he gets like dusted, and it's still one of my favorite stories I've ever heard because it's just such a nerd speak thing to just be like,
Yes.
no. I
Out of
adore
50,
that.
out of 50, Phase 3 gets a
Okay.
38.73.
Wow, just barely over Evil Dead.
It's gonna be weird to see what the impact score of these are, of the Marvel ones.
I think what we should do is off mic, we should all the ones that are eliminated from the tournament, we should give an impact score to. And then apply and then pick them on live so then we still have the discussion on camera for everybody. But then that way at the tail of the tape kind of getting ready for the final, we can go see if this one would have got here, this could have been this, and this could have been that, and talk
Yeah.
about it and go from there. So
Okay.
what was the average letterbox score on phase 3?
Phase 3 is a 3.49.
That's not bad. That's a really respectable score. So phase 3 will take it over James Bond.
In terms of Marvel as a whole, Phase 1 has a 3.18. Phase 2 has a 3.23. Phase 3, 3.49. Phase 4, 3.04. So Phase 3 is the best
I mean,
review.
they did what they were supposed to do, and then they brought it back down.
Yep.
Okay.
Okay.
Now to what is sure to be Dylan's absolute favorite game of all time. It is our last run. It's our last game in battle of round 2. Dylan's favorite franchise of all time, John Wick, taking on Pirates of the Caribbean, which has the lowest score of the survivors. From the last round, it barely survived with a 26.39 score.
Okay. Yeah. You know what's funny? Out of all these movies, Pirates and John Wick, only one of them has a 4.0 or is able to crack a 4.0, and that's Pirates 1.
Yep, that makes sense.
All John Wick is very consistent 3.8, 3.7, 3.7, 3.9, which means the average for Letterbox is 3.77,
Whoa.
and the Letterbox average for Pirates is 3.38. Really gets dumped on when you have 4 and 5 in there.
5 is
2.9 and 2.7.
We should also have a very brief discussion for the tail of the tape stuff later of what are the worst movies in this tournament. Because Pirates 5 is in that discussion. It's
I mean, technically
brutal.
speaking, in terms of numbers, it's not that bad.
It's bad.
But
it's
I mean, it is a bad movie. It's definitely bad. Pirates, I really love the first a lot. 2 is good. 3 is good. 4 is bad. 5 is worse.
4, I would say, is below average. 5 is legitimately bad.
4 also feels completely like, especially when you think of the consistency of 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Both with director and style and aesthetic.
Yeah.
4 feels completely different.
It's wild.
And then 5 is even worse, but that's like almost completely digital.
Yeah.
At that point, so that's why it looks and feels so different. I mean, it's not, their numbers aren't good. It's 4 and 5. Okay. Actually, 3 also has a very bad critic score, 43. Her critic average is 47.4. Audience average is 68.8.
God, I should have took better notes on this. Pirates, I'm going to give a 6.5.
Okay.
All 3, I think, are very enjoyable at first, and then they are.
I'm going to match you on that, I think.
2 really poor entries to finish. Whereas,
Yeah.
back to that previous Evil Dead conversation, I would argue John Wick is one of those franchises. It knows what it wants to be, and it is that thing. And it's a flavor of ice cream. If you like the flavor, great. If you don't like the flavor, no big deal. But it knows its audience well, and it performs consistently.
If it was only the first three Pirates, I'd probably give it a 7.
If it was the first three Pirates, my score would jump to 7.5. I could even possibly consider higher, because I do believe Curse of the Black Pearl is a great movie, and the other two are good to very good, depending on where you want to put them.
Yeah. Out of 50 Pirates, it's a 31.38.
Ooh, okay. Which is the lowest score of the round thus far.
That makes sense. I mean, the critic score really takes it down quite a bit.
Right.
Because 47, that has to be the lowest one of today.
Yes. Well, Batman and Robin was eliminated last round, so yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's take John Wick.
Wick.
I'm going to say 7.75. Reason being, there's not a single dud. It knows what it's trying to do. They're all very enjoyable films. I don't think they have the prestige that some of the other ones have. That is something I do account for in it. John Wick 1 and 2 are legitimately great. And then 2 are
7.75 or 7.5?
7.75.
Okay.
And then the other two are really, really good action movies, but you have to like the flavor of ice cream that it is.
I'm going to give it a 6. Really like the first one. Completely done after that. They're not bad movies.
I thought you might like John Wick 2 simply because he runs with a dog at the end of it.
I don't really like viewing dogs as violent.
Sure.
Like, I don't really agree with that on a whole.
But that dog isn't violent. Other dogs in the franchise are violent, but that one isn't.
Oh yeah, that's the third one with Halle Berry.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't like it. But also, they're not bad movies.
No.
They're just not.
You don't personally like them.
Like, I would give John Wick 1 a 7. I'd give 2 probably 6.5. 3 and 4 6.
Okay.
But I'm thinking of it as just personal enjoyment. I don't like it how it impacts action. So it's a 6 to me.
That is more than fair.
So out of 50, John Wick gets a 38.89. The letterbox average was 3.77.
Yeah, I mean, it is one of the highest letterbox scores. I shouldn't say one of. It's right in that mid-range that you don't think it would be. But it's competing with Harry Potter, Toy Story, How to Train Your Dragon as really good average letterbox scores, which is a really interesting thing. So John Wick does take this one.
Not surprising.
And John Wick lives to fight another day. It has made the Elite Eight of this tournament, which, yes, seeding-wise, is it probably one of the best 8? Probably not.
No, not even close to me.
The way this tournament knocks out, John Wick's still in competition here. And I do think it's a competition between Phase 3 and John Wick. It's not like a shoe-in in terms of just math. However, the impact score will change a lot of that. But that is our final game of this round. So we are done with round 2. You can join us for round 3, where we are going to be doing the Elite 8 games. There will be 4 games. It'll be Indiana Jones taking on How to Train Your Dragon, Toy Story taking on The Dark Knight, Lord of the Rings taking on Harry Potter. So we have a fantasy civil war. And then we have MCU's Phase 3 taking on John Wick. There is one true battle of juggernauts, and it is Toy Story versus The Dark Knight.
Yeah. Hey, Dark Knight has not had an easy go of it.
No, it is not. I mean, Mad Max was a good first game. Then they took The Godfather, and now you have Toy Story. Like, Toy Story, all due respect to Toy Story, has been a cakewalk. They had
Yeah.
Vacation, and then Star Wars, which mathematically is inflated and still doesn't perform well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's an interesting one. And also, How to Train Your Dragon, still in this
Still on.
goddamn tournament.
It's still going. It's kicking.
So we got to talk all that stuff. But that is going to do it for this episode of the tournament. Join us again for round 3. If you liked this video, give a like, a comment, and a subscribe. If you're on Twitch, give us a follow. Help us out with everything that you possibly can. And stay tuned for more stuff. But that is going to do it for us here, folks. Take care of yourself. If you need help in this world, go get it and watch a great movie and enjoy your time and enjoy your day, folks. We'll see you in the next one. Peace, love, and hugs to you all.
Bye.
Goodbye.